Abraham Lincoln.
Louisiana Purchase, that's a name.
You need to really get off my balls, okay? I'm gonna kick your ass.
Also, why was Michelangelo so stinky? Ew.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the All You Can Hear podcast. I am Kaiju number W, one of your hosts, Wenzel. With me today is my other Kaiju co-host.
Kaiju number 21, Colt here. Yeah, that's right. My name Jeffing in 2024. That's, let's see, 12 years old? No. 11? Somewhere in there. Enjoy it, because memes, they're forever.
They are forever. They don't die. Yeah, we're Kaiju, and we're gonna talk about Kaiju on this episode. If you can't tell from the title, this is Kaiju number 8 episode. So recently, the anime just came out. The first episode, the second episode is out now, but it came out on April 13th. So we decided that we were going to do an episode where we talk about the first, an episode about the first episode. I say episode a lot. And then also too, we decided that we would talk about the first 3 volumes of the manga as well. And for those of us who don't have the physical manga, which is just me. I think Colt, you have the physical manga.
Yeah.
So I don't, but that's okay because we have the Shonen Jump app, and it goes up to chapter 26. So that's where we cut off right there, and that's what we're going to be talking about. Obviously, there's going to be spoilers for the first episode of the anime, but there's also going to be spoilers for the manga. So if you want to, you can just listen to us talk about the first episode of the anime, and then once we're done, after that point, we'll be talking about the manga and the chapters. A lot of spoilers for that, obviously. But yeah, so here we go.
Yippee!
But yeah, so Kaiju number 8 debuted back in July 3rd, 2020. It is written and illustrated by Naoya Matsumoto. Currently has 12 volumes out with 105 chapters. And yeah, it follows a guy named Kafka Habino. He's a 32-year-old man who, after ingesting a kaiju, gains the ability to turn into one, and now must navigate using his power while trying to become part of an organization that eliminates kaiju to fulfill a promise he made with a childhood friend. I ripped this off from the Wikipedia. I'm not going to come up with original synopses for this. I'm just kind of going off like that, and we'll give you brief rundowns of the volumes and chapters when we get to that. But yeah, so we're going to start with the episode first, which is just that we get it's just basically the whole first chapter.
Whole first chapter. Honestly, it felt like it's weird. The first chapter, when reading it, felt like it lasted longer than the first episode did, for me at least. Because the first episode, it just went by super fast for me, and I don't know. I guess I took time to take it in, I guess, when I was reading it, because I was really, really enjoying the manga. But the first episode was really good.
Yeah, no, absolutely. The first episode is longer than normal. It's how long is it? I never wrote that down. It's like 30 to 40 minutes long, isn't it?
I honestly, I don't know.
Give me a second. I'll look this up real quick. No, of course it won't.
No, it's 23 minutes.
Are you sure?
Yeah, I'm looking at Crunchyroll right now.
Oh, I guess my thing glitched because whenever I was like at the wait, hold on. Let me test this. Oh, okay. I'm just stupid. I don't know. Whenever I looked at it, I always assumed that the time meter goes down as the time increases. But whenever I saw that the episode was at 15 minutes and I saw there's 23 minutes, I was like, oh shit, like this is a long episode. Like, man, okay, good for them to give this as much runtime. So yeah, I guess I'm just stupid. Yeah, no, I agree though. The original chapter is 56 pages, which is longer than most chapters, but it's a debut chapter, so it's always going to be a little longer because it's got to cram as much into it as possible to get people invested and hooked on it. And I agree. It felt longer, but I guess because it's animated, it goes by much quicker and we're not having to read as much, I guess, and you have more time to stay on it. But yeah, I think the anime looks really well done.
Yeah, it's done by Production IG.
Yes. Yes, it is.
Yeah, they are a pretty well-known studio. I mean, they did some Attack on Titan seasons along with like the standalone complex Ghost in the Shell standalone complex stuff in the early 2000s.
Yeah, so they've done Pat Labor 2, Ghost in the Shell, Jinro, if you remember that.
Yup.
And animated sequences in Kill Bill Volume 1.
Ah, I did not know that.
Yeah, and then in terms of their anime series, like television series, Blood Plus, Guilty Crown, Kuriko's Basketball, Psychopaths, and AYCH.
Yeah. They're a very, very well-known studio. And plus, like I said, standalone complex, that aesthetic, not necessarily that there's like some detailed stuff in that kind of pop up here, especially with the suits and the weapons, whatnot. We barely see them, but when you do, you can tell they're beautifully done. There's not really much CG in this.
I would say the only CG we have is with the first kaiju that we see. I want to say there's a little bit of CG with the second kaiju, but mostly with the first one, it's kind of blended in pretty well with just a standard 2D art style. I mean, it looks good, nothing wrong. And again, we're getting to a point now where CG doesn't really.
Oh yeah.
There is good CG now, so I guess I shouldn't say CG doesn't matter because there's some anime even up until now that has really bad CG.
Oh yeah, bad CG it's not left.
Yeah,
Not at all.
it's not gone, so it's still here, but it's not in here. I should say that. Yeah. Yeah, no, they do. I mean, they do well too with like I mean, it's like as an anime usually well done. That's a pretty straightforward adaptation of the manga. It's pretty cool. I will say there's some of the character designs that are kind of little, I would say a little more not streamlined, but a little less detailed or as a little more smoother than what they were in the manga, like with Ichikawa. So I guess I should say too what
That's Reno, bro.
It's so funny.
Reno's a better name. Kafka and Reno, both of those names are fantastic. I absolutely love them.
Yeah. So gosh, guys, we should talk about the characters that we do get introduced. So yeah, obviously our main character is Kafka Hibino. I was gonna say Kafka is such a cool name. I always think of obviously Franz Kafka, probably. I never thought about it. Is that just is that an actual name used, or is that just inspiration? Or is it like inspiration from Franz Kafka, so they use it now and the name like people after? I don't know.
Reno also based on Reno 911.
Yeah, of course. No, but whenever you look him up, his name is Lino.
Yeah, that's just translation.
Yeah, it's such weird because they call him Reno in the manga, Reno in the anime. So I don't know why he's still listed as Lino in the wiki. But yeah, so yeah, Kafka is and this is so different for a shonen because it's not really shonen. It's
32-year-old man.
a 32-year-old man, and he he's he didn't he's not leading the life he necessarily wanted, but I mean, he's not leading a bad life either. I mean, there's a moment, I will say, like, the emotional moments in here are really well done. Like whenever he passes by his childhood friend Mina Ashiro, who we learn is the 3rd division captain and probably one of the most powerful kaiju killers so far. They're childhood friends who at one point, make a promise, as I said earlier, that they're going to be together and kill the kaijus. And there's a really good moment where she's walking through a parade, basically celebrating her killing the first kaiju that appears in the episode. And then as she's walking, he's walking towards the mess, and it's like this really like quiet moment of her running through applause while he's running behind the applause to clean up the mess, because that's his job, along with the company that he's a part of, which is they clean up kaiju messes. And I think that's really interesting, to be fair.
Yeah, you don't ever see the cleanup, the aftermath of the kaiju stuff, because obviously you need, in a world where there's giant monsters and stuff like in Godzilla, there's gonna be corporations dedicated to cleaning the aftermath, and insurance to be like, you got Godzilla insurance, you need that.
Yeah,
just stuff like that. Because I remember Pat talking about this, and I remember him saying that years ago when he was telling us about it. This originally was Pat's idea to do this episode, but Pat's on the run. Okay, he said not to tell anyone, but Pat's a bad boy.
Yeah,
he's in Miami, and let's just say he's friends with Will Smith and the other guy. I can't remember his name.
Martin Lawrence.
He's the 3rd bad boy.
Yeah, he's the unseen 3rd bad boy that pulls off.
Stuff came up. Pat couldn't be here, but this was originally his idea.
Yeah, Pat was the one who got us on to Kaiju number 8, because it's pretty crazy, because like, even though it's been 4 years since it's come out, it feels so, and it came out so recently, and it's already this popular.
Yeah, like I've been collecting it since Volume 1 came out in English. I haven't read it until this week. And I have up to Volume 9. I don't plan on reading it in app because I'm collecting it physical. I'm just going to wait till the volume's released. Sadly, the release on these volumes is pretty far in between, but that happens when you have a manga that is like a bi-weekly and they take breaks every so often and whatnot throughout the year.
Yeah, and with how recent it is too, I imagine like the timeline is kind of skewed, because there's, like I said, there's only 100 chapters, and there's 12 volumes, but like that's not including English, so it's
and it's not like you'll be hurting for content, actually, because there's fucking light novels and the B-side, the spinoff.
Yeah. So, but yeah, no, this is actually going to be like, when we came up with this idea to do this episode, and it was kind of like part of this whole kaiju thing with like Godzilla coming out, and also because it just kind of lines up, but because of like our weird scheduling recently, we've had to kind of split stuff off, so that's kind of where we got this idea to do it. But I mean, it's nothing wrong with that, because it gets us to actually read it, because it's like Colt said, it's something we've been wanting to read.
Yeah, it's the way I collect manga is, if I research it a little bit, I see like the consensus of like, what's the score on my anime list, what's it about, the gist. I will scan that over once or twice, and then I'll see what people say. And if it's something I know that I'll like, I just go balls in and I start collecting it.
Yeah, no, that's fair. That's what I do. I will say, after reading these chapters, I want to collect it physically now.
Oh, it's worth it, because you got the color pages, and there's also, I don't know if it's in the app, but do they have the mid rolls where it's like facts about the character, saying like, this is this person's favorite food, this is this person's height, this is this person's birthday?
No.
Okay, that's in the manga. It's in the physical.
Yeah,
so
I was gonna
it's
say
pretty
that,
cool.
that stuff is never on the app. The only thing I will say is on the app is they have these point one, like these intermediary like chapters every so often, where it's basically just a collection of the color pages. They put them together.
Yeah.
So those are pretty cool. But yeah, I wish they would include that stuff in the app. Just because I always enjoy reading that in
I don't think they come out until the volume drops. So they don't put them on there.
Yeah, they don't. I wish they would, like after, but they don't. Yeah, which is fine. I think that's a good incentive to go out and get him. Yeah. But yeah, no, and just talk more about the episode, because I will say, like, this crossovers with the chapters too. It's so funny.
It's very funny. I absolutely love the main guy for his humor, and just also just the fact that he's 32. You don't get many series like anime where the character is older than 21.
Yeah. And I think this is where Pat could really chime in, because Pat's old.
Yeah, Pat's so senile. Like, he has like 1 year left type deal, like Kafka did. So like, he's got that 1 year to turn it all around, or it's nothing but cleaning up kaiju mess for the rest of his life.
Yeah. But no, like it's so cool, especially now too, since to have like, he's so endearing. Like, because we're so, I'm 25, you're 24, and now we're so far removed from our high school graduation, which was like 7 years ago now, almost going into a decade. And like, you can obviously still read stuff with like characters who are young or whatever, they're like teenagers, and that's fine. But to have something like this where the guy is like 32, I mean, obviously we're not super close in age, but like, adults, we are adults, we're going through life, we might have regrets, and we might feel like shit. That's like, how often do we have something like that with this,
Yeah, also just the way he interacts with Reno, because Reno's the bro, he's the main bro. And he's like, he starts the part-time job with the cleaners because he wants to join the main force, the Kaiju Defense Force.
Yeah.
And the first time they meet, Reno's like, "Why'd you quit?" And Reno's like, or not Reno, Kafka's like, "It beat me up. I couldn't make it. I just gave up." And then Reno's like, "You are a failure. I'd never understand that." Because Kafka said, "You'll understand one day," and then Reno
when
said,
you're older. And then he was like, sometimes there's people that are better than you, and blah blah blah. And then immediately after that, Kafka is in his locker, and he's like, "Damn it, that's not fair." He makes the best faces. I love how Matsumoto draws his face. It's so good. The physical humor, it's so, like, goddamn, it's so funny, because there's a part in there too whenever Kafka has to get put on cleaning the intestines. And this is actually something I do think about whenever, like, animals eating other animals, or like having to like clean up stuff like this. I'm like, the intestines are so disgusting, and I'm so glad that they show this in here, because one of the guys is like, well, what's so bad about the intestines? Is like, dude, do you know what's in the intestines? Shit. It's just shit and gas.
Yeah, I just don't think that just because they're on the intestine duty, they're the only ones suffering. I think that just the mere size of these fucking things, everyone's on intestine duty basically with these stench.
Well, sure, but like, think about where all the gas comes from, though. It comes from the intestines and the shit that's still in the body. like
yeah, but it's gonna dissipate and go around the entire area.
I mean, yeah, but
they're gonna have to cut it up and get that dookie in portions.
But there's no dookie in the muscles.
Well, there's gonna be stench.
But it's not the bacteria in poop. Is not the same bacteria that's gonna be in. It stinks. Sure.
No one's having a good time.
Nobody's having a good time. But I do love how they censor it, like it's on TV though, or I guess it is on TV.
Yeah, because it's poopy.
It's poopy. No, it's incredibly funny. And then whenever the newbie gets put on, or Reno gets put on intestines, Kafka's like, hell yes.
And then Captain forgets that he's
Yes.
also still assigned to intestines.
And he's like, why do I have to do it again? The guy's like, well, you're actually pretty good at it. So yeah, no, it's a really good. And yeah, I mean, and you really, and like I said before, you really feel for the guy because he made this promise and he keeps asking himself, how did it come to this? Which is like a question that everybody, ask is like, how did it all end up here? How did it all come to this? And before I said, like, we don't get much shit like this of being an adult, being relatable. Obviously we have, animation or shows or whatever where we have adults and they're doing stuff and, like, I mean, you could say like what, BoJack Horseman or whatever. But
I'm not saying BoJack Horseman. That is not relatable in any way.
well,
BoJack Horseman is a big shithead, and if you relate to him, something's wrong. Go to therapy.
I agree. I was literally going to say the difference in this is that Kafka is not a piece of shit. It's just life is tough, and like you get older and you get tired and you get worn down by stuff. And that's where I think it's very relatable. But yeah, no, and then the suits, I'll talk more about that for the chapters because we get to find out more about the suits that they wear in there. But yeah, I mean, overall the episode's really good. I think the transformation too for Kafka when he gets turned into a kaiju is pretty wild. I thought it was pretty cool.
Yeah, it's pretty sick seeing him like in the moonlight glistening with his abs, just like, oh.
I don't think that's yeah. Or I was talking about whenever he was writhing in pain because he was transforming into a kaiju and there was this cool like effect put on him where like it shows like looks like dead souls screaming or whatever as he's getting turned into a kaiju. I don't know. I thought that looked crazy. Because we didn't get that in the manga. We just got him, transforming.
Yeah.
So I'm glad they put that in there. And yeah, and then also too the him and Reno both screaming at each other. I thought that was pretty great. And the old man who immediately sees him pulls out his phone to call it in.
Yeah, that's that good shit right there. And then that's it, really. The episode ends with there's a post-credit scene where his childhood friend Mina is on the phone. She's like, I'm going to kill it now. And that's it. That's the end of the episode.
And she has a pet tiger. Also, too, they did not do fan service for Mina in that moment.
They did.
No, they did not. So
you saw her butt.
Okay, but no. So originally in the manga, whenever you see Mina in the bathtub, you see her in the bathtub, like not full body, but like you see her silhouette in the bathtub. In this, you just see her get up from the bath. You just see her walk to the window. She has her underwear on, and that's it. I'm just saying. And I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. I'm just saying, like, it's really interesting that they don't do that, especially since, like, again, adults, a 27-year-old, like, come on.
Yeah, everybody here is adult, except for one character, but they come in later, and they don't make it weird with that character.
No, they do not. I appreciate that. But yeah, so that's the first episode.
I will say the ending is Nobody by One Republic. It is terrible.
Oh my God.
I hate the ending song.
Oh my God. Okay. I was going to talk about this because I did not realize, or I did realize, I did know this, but I it was like a week or so ago. I didn't know One Republic was making a song for this. I was like, holy shit, what? So the opening is Abyss by Youngblood, and then the ending is Nobody by One Republic. I haven't heard the opening. Like, really?
Yeah, the ending is bad. I have seen the opening. I think it's pretty good. Like, I think Youngblood as a person is kind of cringy. Just his image and what he does. It's not necessarily bad. It's just like, ugh. He does make good music because I really like that song he did with Bring Me the Horizon, Obey.
Yep. Yeah.
But this song's not bad. It's not bad.
All right. Well, hell yeah. But I just thought it was crazy. And I mean, that just shows too how popular this manga has gotten to get, you know, groups like that. So, but yeah.
Yeah. I just wish that anime would stick to Japanese artists or like current, like smaller artists. Cause that was the one thing about anime in the early 2000s, 2010s, is that they would put newer or not newer, like lesser known artists on blast with some really good bangers.
Yeah.
But instead, they're getting like already popular artists in America or worldwide and putting them up. Not a big fan of that.
I mean, I don't know. I'm not in the industry, so I don't know. What do you want me to do? What do you want me to do, Colt? Oh. You know what? Just for that, I'm going to make sure that the next anime that you want, or the next manga you want is anime, I want to make sure the opening is done by Taylor Swift and the ending is done by, you know what? Let's just say Imagine Dragons. How about that?
Okay. Jujutsu Kaisen's going to be good.
All right. Well, you can't say that because it's already.
Well,
I'm talking about brand new stuff that hasn't gotten an anime yet. So you can't say that about something I love that's already established. Because I'll fucking kill you. I'll fucking gut.
It's too late.
Colt. I will gut you, Colt. I will.
It's too late.
I'm gonna mess you up. Okay, so we're gonna go into the chapters now. After this point, spoilers. So if you don't want to know anything about anything,
this is where your time to tag out. In conclusion on the episode or the anime, definitely check it out. It's super fun. Production IG did a great job. Just give it a chance. Give it a go.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, definitely. Definitely something to keep your eye out for. Oh gosh, what's it called? Like not new age, new wave, anime manga / to keep up with or whatever. Just keep up with it, I think. But yeah, so now we're going into, from here on out, we're going to chapter 2 to chapter 26. Kind of give you a brief rundown of everything, and then we'll talk about what we really liked and stuff from that. But yeah, so after he gets turned into a kaiju, they're in the hospital because they did have a battle with a kaiju that get them pretty injured, and so he becomes a kaiju, and then they have to escape the hospital because again, he's been reported, so now he's been given the code name Kaiju number 8.
And he's the first kaiju to well, we don't learn that just yet, but he's the first kaiju to escape.
Yeah, no. So that's what makes him also a pretty big target, is because they always kill the kaiju. So now this kaiju's on the loose, and nobody knows, where it is or whatever. So that makes him pretty on edge, I guess that's what I should say. But as they're escaping the hospital, funny, wild shit happens. Cole, would you like to tell them what happens?
Yes, Kafka is in his kaiju form, looking super sick. I'm gonna give you a little bit more details before the big thing. As they're running, one thing I really liked in the anime and in the manga, they did it justice in the anime, is that his kaiju form starts freaking out and he starts developing like this massive tentacles, and like his head has like this little head coming out with faces all over it, and it's like a extra mouth shoots out of his mouth and eats a bird. I thought that was really cool.
It's this whole crazy like eldritch horror thing. It's insane.
And I've only read up to into volume 3. Doesn't pop up ever again, as far as I've read. Which is, I'm curious if that was the only time it ever does it. Because if so, that's funny. But after that, Kafka's like, "Oh man, I really gotta pee. But I don't know where my pee-pee's at. I don't have a junk. I don't have the right parts."
And Reno is like, "Can you just not hold it? He's like, please just hold it."
And then he starts pissing right out of his nipples. And the entire time after he's pissing, he's like, "I'll never be married."
No, let me read you what exactly it says because his face is so freaking funny. He says, "No one would dare take me as their bride now. Just leave me here to die." And his face, the art, it's I don't know how else to describe it. He looks like a sad cat. I don't know a sad screaming cat. I don't know how else to describe it. And then Reno is having to drag him because he's so sad about it. He's like, "You weren't going to be anyone's bride to begin with. You'll be fine." It's so good.
It's just a bro relationship blooming right there.
And
who doesn't piss out their nipples with their boys?
And it's so funny because also whenever he's running and starts pissing himself, it does that thing where it's basically like a shiny effect where there's like a bunch of stuff coming out. It's just like, God.
In anime, it was like, what?
Yeah, that's what I assumed it was. Oh my God. As soon as I saw that and read some other stuff later, I sent a message to Cole. I'm like, God damn it. This guy just pissed himself. It's so funny. Oh my God. I feel him though. It's like, who would, like, man, you just want to be somebody's bride and now you can piss out your nipples. How the hell are you supposed to get married?
Damn shame.
Damn. I mean, maybe there's somebody who likes that. I don't know. You think there's somebody out there that likes that?
Yeah, there's people that jerk off to poop.
Disturbing.
Yeah.
So after all that, there's we get this kind of whole thing where he is able to figure out how to disguise himself, keep himself from turning into a kaiju randomly or so, and so they go back to their duties as cleaning up kaiju remains and stuff. Oh my God, I didn't say this also too. It was crazy. They talked about how they had to clean up the kaiju mess within a week. I was like, that's insane. But you know what? A company would need that, right?
So does that count rebuilding?
If there's no, I think they just have to. I think construction is not their job. They're simply disposal. If they were a construction company, then it would not be a week. But they're not a construction company. They're just a cleanup company. So I think they just have to get rid of all the body parts and stuff, and then the construction company or infrastructure can come in and fix everything. That's my guess.
Sorry.
But yeah, but anyway, Reno does inspire Kafka to try to rejoin or try again with the Defense Force, because they increased the age to 32 now because the birth rate is so low, so there's not many more young people joining, and yeah, so together him and Reno take the test. They decide to go back and apply themselves, and for the most part, from their training and everything they're doing, it's working. And so they make it to the second part of the test, and during this examination, the Defense Force applicants, we get introduced to a bunch of characters who I assume are some of the main characters we're going to be following, because we get their names and we get a bunch of panels of them. But I guess I'll just go ahead and quickly address these. So we get Kikuru Shinomiya, who is probably one of the youngest characters we have. She's 16 years old, and like Colt was saying before, we get introduced to this very young woman, and there's nothing weird, she's just this very
she's a tsundere type, where she's like, when you're nice to her, she's mean to you character. I always hate that trope, but she's fun.
Yeah, she's definitely fun, especially too with Kafka, because it's never like a weird thing of like, oh, like there's like some kind of like romance here involved or anything. Like, no, it's more like he's like either like an older like adult figure friend, and that's it. And I think that's great.
Yeah, he just views her as an annoying little shit, because when they first meet, she lifts his van and throws it because he's parked in Sparking Slot number 55, and 5 is her lucky number that day.
Yeah, and she's also a rich brat too.
Yeah.
but she does have some. She is able to back up what she does because she is probably one of the top recruits or applicants from her area. So
Yeah, I mean, she's one of the strongest characters in the manga. She canonically, she's like, I think she's stronger than the lieutenant.
oh wow, okay. That's insane because the lieutenant later we see is pretty fucking crazy. Yeah, and then we get these other characters who, like I said, I assume they're gonna be probably mainstay characters, but we get Haru Furuhashi, Haruichi Izumo, and Aoi Kaguragi. They're just kind of your fill-in bros, I want to say. Like,
Yeah, the competition for Kafka and Reno.
yeah, and they're also all fairly competent as well, and yeah, but yeah. So they get to this. They're here to take the next part of the exam, and the reason why Reno explains that this part of the exam might be kind of easy for them, or they might be able to do this, is because the past 2 years they've done a kaiju cleanup exam because the government wants to make sure people recognize the work and the work that goes into that and bring more public attention to it. So that's also why Reno went to the cleanup company so he can learn, so he can be prepared for the test. So they get in there. Well, come to find out, it's not that. They're gonna have to kill some kaiju. So the kaiju, the way they're broken up is there's a Hanju and a Yoju. A Hanju is the big, strong, basically main kaiju, and then the Yoju are little kaiju that kind of split off from it, and they're led by the Hanju. So they have to do that.
Yeah. Also, before they actually go into the hunt, they get suits that are specially made to fight kaiju, and depending on your attributes of your body or your skill level, you can actually make the suit stronger, and that rarely anybody goes below 10%, I think, or like
20.
20. And Kafka is a 0%, or is he 1%? I can't remember.
He starts out as 0%.
Yes, he starts out as 0%, and the lieutenant guy absolutely loves him for it. That's one of my favorite things about the lieutenant, is that he just like said, "Fuck it, dude. I don't even care if he sucks at killing kaiju. Let him in. He's funny."
Okay, yeah. So I guess we should mention who the other character we're introduced to is Soshiro Hoshina. He's the 3rd Division Vice Captain. He's basically second in command, Lieutenant to Mina Ashiro, who's the captain. And the entire time they're going through their tests and examinations and stuff like that, he just fucking loves Kafka. He's just like, this dude is so freaking funny. Like Colt said, he does not give a shit. He's like, I don't fucking care. Just put him in. Just put him in. He's
And the
so
funny thing is, spoilers, it pretty kind of works.
It
Pretty
kind
much
of
what
works.
he did.
It literally it works. So yeah. So yeah, they're putting on their suits. So we learn that all of the weapons that they have for fighting kaiju, including the suits, are made from kaiju material. I did think that was something interesting too. In the first chapter, is we learn like how they divvy up the kaiju remains. So a bunch of different companies get them for a bunch of different purposes, including the bones, the muscles, and whatever. And this is for that reason. They turn them into weapons. And
Yeah, I'm curious if you can eat the meat. I feel like that'd be a waste if you couldn't.
yeah,
I imagine there's some like flesh that isn't good for like creating weapons, but I don't know.
I'm very curious about that too, just because with how Kafka gets turned into a kaiju, it's through ingesting one, but I don't know
But I feel like that was a special one.
See, that's the thing. It's like I don't know if it's because that one is specially made so that it can turn humans into kaiju, so it has no correlation to like eating the meat of a kaiju. I don't know, and I'm really curious about that. That's just what I'm wanting to point out there. That intrigue, but yeah. So they get the suits on. Reno gets like a 8%, I think. A bunch of the other guys, the the other three guys, they get like 17, 18, or 16% or something. They get below 20%.
It's hard to get over 20. That's what it said.
Yeah. Well, Kikiru gets like 40 or 50%. She gets 56.
Yeah, she gets really strong. You can already tell she's, to be fair, she already had a suit of her own because she's super rich, and she is the daughter of somebody that is super strong, apparently.
Yeah. And that was even a surprise to the lieutenant, because he's like, oh shit, because one of the higher ups in the government couldn't even, he was capped out at, or he wasn't capped out at 20. He started out as 20 as well, and she gets already at a 56%. So that's pretty crazy. And yeah, and Kafka gets a very sad 0. So, but yeah.
And he's like, hold on, let me go again. Let me try again. And he's like, it looks like you're taking a shit.
Which is also what makes Hoshino laugh. But yeah, so then of course they're thrown into the examinee arena, where they have to go and kill the kaiju that they've been keeping there. And now this is also still a good time for Kafka to shine, because even if he can't necessarily actually physically harm these kaiju or as fast as everybody else, he can still provide support and also examine the kaiju corpses to tell them, how to kill them, or where their cores are, or how to take them down. So he's able to provide support, which is also, again, just as important as anybody else,
because he worked as a cleaner for years. He knows a lot of kaiju in and out. I imagine there's like kaiju that are just like I guess like breeds of animals, where it's like, okay, we fought this kind before, so its core should be here.
Yeah.
Or in this situation, he had to cut it open to find it.
Yeah, and in which which at the very least he's still able to do that, at least. And I do appreciate that. Also, his teamwork with Reno, I really do like them as a team of bros. Just because Kafka really appreciates Reno, because Reno is like super nice and also really supportive. He says he doesn't care, which that was in the first chapter in manga. It was like, I don't care, but like he really, he's really supportive.
Yeah, after Kafka woke his kaiju stuff, he didn't wake it up. After he turned into a kaiju, Reno's whole thing is, I want to be strong enough to where he doesn't have to transform ever again, which is really nice.
Which is like really sweet, because it's like he knows that if Kafka gets caught, he's gonna get killed, or he's gonna get captured and experimented on, and it's just like he doesn't want to see that happen. Like, man, really, really nice guy. And yeah, so they're doing all this. We get some kind of basically like a montage of everybody working really hard. Kikoru, though, is able to she's the fastest and strongest, so she immediately goes for the Hanju and kills it. And
everybody's like, fuck, shit, I guess the test's over.
Yeah, I guess the test's over. And so as everybody's leaving, she's getting ready to leave. We get a fucker pop up. We get Kaiju number 9.
Yep, and this guy, I'm assuming, is the main villain, because, like I said, only the first 3 volumes.
And he's doing some work, because as soon as he pops up, he's able to revive all of the kaiju, and he's pretty dangerous himself. He immediately starts unloading on Kikoru with these like finger blast. I guess.
Yeah, it's like he's shooting off flesh. It reminds me of JoJo Part 7, where he shoots off his fingernails. It's pretty cool.
It's pretty crazy, and it's pretty brutal. And whenever this happens, also too, because Kafka is part kaiju now, he can sense when other kaiju appear, and immediately goes to help Kikoru and transform without being seen. And we get this really crazy battle between him and this guy, but also too.
Is this the fight where once like you can see Kafka's like turns towards the enemy and it's like traditional Japanese style and it looks super sick? Or is that the later fight?
Shit.
Because I know there's an art style change where it's his face after transformation and it looks super awesome.
I'm not sure because now I'm kind of getting my my wires crossed right here because I forget that uh that Kafka fights the Hanju, not Kaiju number 9. That's actually later, but we do. I will say we get this really cool panel of this panel turning where Kafka punches the Kaiju, the Hanju, and every time you turn the page, slowly parts of the Hanju disappear because he punches it so hard he basically vaporizes it.
It's badass.
It's super sick. Also, too, whenever he pops up, he tells that he's there to save Kikoru, but he also immediately gets down on his knees and is like, "Please, please don't tell anybody." It's really funny. I also sent Colt this this image too because it's perfect. And now also Kikoru knows that he's a kaiju, but she helps keep it secret as well.
Yeah, so she's kind of like a third main character. Even according to the My Anime list, they list Kikoru as a main next to Reno and Kafka.
Yeah. She definitely seems important too, also with some later stuff. But anyway, yeah. So they're able to rescue her, and gosh, even though I just read these chapters, I'm trying to think because I have a breakdown here, but I feel like something important happened between what I'm about to talk about, and I can't really remember. They do detect that Kafka is there because they're like, oh shit, it's Kaiju number 8. He's there too, but there's something weird or off about this. But it doesn't matter because he's able.
Don't detect Kaiju number 8 there. They just like after the battle's done, they're like, holy shit. The way this monster is destroyed, it's similar to when Kaiju number 8 broke out of the hospital.
That's what it was.
And that on the readings, they're like, holy shit, it's like a 9 point something. If it's a 9 point something, it's like one of the strongest kaiju you can get.
Yeah.
And they didn't know that was Kaiju number 8 or Kafka.
They say that they have another type of kaiju which is called a Dai kaiju, and apparently a Dai kaiju hasn't been seen in a long time. I should also mention the kaiju epidemic that they had has been happening for decades. It goes far back, way beyond the 80s. I think that's very interesting as well. But yeah, so they're kind of suspectful. What am I trying to say? They're suspecting something's up. I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I wanted to say we didn't really talk about it, but there's these little canisters on the guns made of the parts of the monsters. We said that, but these little canisters, they act as elemental blasts, which is super sick. It reminds me of Borderlands. I don't think they actually shoot the things because they I don't know if it's in the Shonen Jump app, but there is a inter-chapter thing, I think, where it shows this ice part was collected in the 1980s and this part was collected in 2001.
Yeah, they did. That was in there.
It's just super interesting seeing that these little capsules have been held for years and years, and I imagine they can be passed on for whatever future hunting they need to do.
Yeah, yeah, even the bullets they said are also made from kaiju parts. No, it's really cool because Reno tries using these. He uses freeze rounds because it gives him the advantage of slowing their movements so that he can kind of run around and shoot them on their weak spots or whatever. It's really cool. And
Makes me want a video game. It reminds me of God Eater in a way, is the Monster Hunter clone.
Yeah, I'd be very interested in a Kaiju number 8 type of game. That okay, but yeah, and then they have and after the exam, they have a meeting to discuss, who gets to be in it or whatever. Kafka is the person who scores the lowest, so of course they're like, oh yeah, he can't make it. He's getting cut, whatever. Mina, the captain, is just like, yeah, I have no objections or whatever. I don't care. But the person who fucking saves him, like we said before, is Hoshino, because he's just like, the guy is so funny and pretty useful. He should be in it, but he's not going to be an officer. He's going to be a cadet. So, yeah. So all of the examinees are inducted into the Defense Force, except for Kafka as officers. Kafka is accepted as a cadet on the recommendation of Hoshino. And also suspects too that he is hiding something as well, because he thought the 0% was really fucking weird. And he's like, this guy cannot suck this much.
Yeah, mainly though, Hoshino kept him here because he's funny. It's like, shit, funny can get you far.
No, he does. There's like a brief moment where he talks about this we need a little more humor or lightheartedness in the force, which is so weird. They call their they're the Defense Force, but they call it the Force. It's just, I think that's kind of funny. It's like, wow, got a bunch of cops.
Oh, and the scene where they're all getting inducted, I really enjoy the Kafka being like, "One day I'll be able to be by your side, Mina." He's like, "Shit, I meant to think that, not say it out loud."
And then Amina is like, "Give me push-ups right now."
100 push-ups right now.
And it's just like, fuck.
Hoshino's losing his mind. But after that, you can see Mina have a little smile, which was nice because you can see she actually cares about Kafka.
Yeah, and Hoshino's like, "What? Did he just get a smile out of her?" And then later too, they have a scene where they're all the men have they're bathing together, and Kafka reveals that he's a childhood friend of Mina, and immediately everybody's like, "You got to give us every single detail ever," because all the men basically joined because of how much Mina inspires them. And later, whenever everybody's done with their showers, all of the men are on the ground. They look dead. It looks like a crime scene because their towels are on their faces, and Reno is trying to fan them off, and they're like, what happened here? And they look under the towels to see like the dead expressions of everybody.
Yeah, that's one thing I've always seen in Japanese media is like, do not stay in the baths too long because they get that shit hot. Like, yeah. I've been in a shower long enough where I'm like, oh, I'm lightheaded, but I get out because I don't like to take super long showers. But I guess I was taking my time in that one. But I just can't imagine getting it so hot where I'm just gonna fucking fall over.
I can't imagine that either. They were in there a long time just talking about Mina. It was very funny. And then we later we get we get some more training from them. Everybody is able to increase their power levels. Kafka is able to increase it to, you guessed it, 1%.
A real warrior right there.
A real fucking warrior. It's very good. I'm trying to think. Everybody else pretty much is able to get theirs up pretty far too. I take it back what I said about Kikuru. I think she had it at 44%, but then after some training, she increases it to 56%.
Yeah.
Because okay. Yeah. Reno is able to increase his. And then eventually they're able to go on their first mission to neutralize a giant class kaiju. So they're dispatched to go take it down. But this is where also too we get number 9 pop up again, and he attacks Reno and Iharu Furuhashi, and number 9 just beats the absolute living fuck out of them. They're pretty injured.
Yeah, it's pretty brutal. Him and Furuhashi getting their asses kicked
And
because Reno's like, just get out of here, go call for help. They can't because the number nine's causing like a signal jam.
yeah, it's very weird. Number 9 is able to he's able to create like this this barrier that kind of interferes with not only signals, but it also changes like reality in a way or whatever. It cloaks them or something. I was kind of confused by that when I was reading that, but it makes it difficult for them to be spotted. So it was basically just Reno and Furuhashi on their own. Also, we find out too that number 9 is also able to turn into a human. That was also something I forgot to mention, is that there's a funny scene where number 9 is in a bathroom stall on the phone and he's like, what? None of them killed any of them? What? Shit. And he turns out that he's actually on he's in the same group company that Kafka and Reno were working in. He works in also Kaiju Disposal, which there's probably a reason for that. But we never find out yet.
Yeah, he's the complete opposite of Kafka though, because Kafka's a human that turns into a kaiju, and that I think he's a kaiju that turns into a human.
Yeah,
but he's just using it as a disguise to kill people.
Mm-hmm. And I also love his design too. Very, very interesting design. But yeah, eventually though, Kafka is able to step in and save them, which we do get again, like I was trying to say before, a cool fight between them. Also, too, I also forgot this. The design of whenever Kafka punches the Hanju kaiju in the last fight is it's really cool because his elbow opens up with like teeth or whatever, like kind of like a mouth, and then he has a rocket in there that boosts his arm. And then also too, whenever he's gonna punch, these little legs come out of his calf that help to stabilize him. It's really sick. His kaiju design, you may think he looks like this big old like kind of buff skeleton lizard thing, but like he's like an eldritch like tentacle bug monster. It's really cool.
Yeah, I think it's like maybe it just takes the identity of other kaiju and like just anything that's bio, it can change on the dime, which is I feel like that's the case.
It feels like it. It feels like a very adaptable biomechanical suit, which it makes sense. It's obviously we have like Guyver kind of going on here. But yeah, he fights number 9, and it's pretty crazy. He beats it almost to the point to, like, he completely almost annihilates it to where it exposes its core.
He could have killed it, but some bitch ass defense force pops up.
Yep, and it's able to get away, and so he has to get away too. But as he's trying to get away, somebody catches up with him, and it is the vice captain Hoshino, and we get also a really cool fight where Hoshino says himself that he's not good at taking out large targets like Mina is, but when it comes to small or mid-size, he's not beat. The reason being is that he has 2 swords, and he comes from a line of a samurai family who have been great at cutting up and killing kaiju. So and with his suit too, he's able to increase his power level to 92%, and he almost fucking kills Kafka. It's insane.
Yeah. To be fair, Kafka could have killed him if he wanted to, in my opinion. He just didn't want to hurt him, period. He was just trying to get away.
No, you're right. Kafka even states, he's like, do I really want to punch Hoshino right now? Because if he does, it's gonna be a completely annihilated blood splatter. And Kafka says too, I can't remember how, he says that he doesn't need to punch a human because if he does, he's going to obliterate them.
Yeah.
So yeah, but yeah. And Hoshino cuts up the town basically. It's pretty crazy.
He cuts off a fucking Kafka's arm and leg.
Yeah, he does, and he cuts into him, almost hitting his core.
And the teeth stopping the blade. That was super sick.
That was super sick. He has a mouth. Oh, so good. But but yeah, he's able to get away. But this also, Hoshino also is kind of thinking like, this kaiju fights like a human. It's like he's kind of picking some stuff up too. Number 9 gets away as well, and what he does is he actually finds another person and kills that guy and imitates him. So even though they're trying to track this kaiju number 9 and his appearance, he's already changed it. So they're kind of at a dead end now. But yeah.
And then after this, we really don't have much left when it comes to chapters. We have the raid.
Yeah, so after everything, Kafka is still not discovered. He is officially inducted as an officer for what he was able to do while fighting the giant kaiju, which again was he was able to provide support and is able to learn from the kaiju by examining their bodies and telling them where their cores are, where their weak spots are, and everything. And then after that induction, he gets to meet Mina again. Same thing happens where he doesn't refer to her by her title, so he has to do push-ups. And then after that or so, there's a raid on the base by kaiju where there's a group of wyvern kaiju that attack, and we get introduced to kaiju number 10.
Which looks super sick. I think I like his design more than 9.
Yeah, I'd agree. He looks crazy. And we kind of have a little battle between him and Hoshino so far. We also see Kikoru. She gets a giant axe, which is insane. It looks sick. It's also like there's like this art of her holding her giant axe, a colored like page. Really cool.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of that axe.
Me too.
There's a volume 2, I think, or is it volume 3 with? I think it's 2 with her on it with the axe
on the cover.
Yeah, it's a really cool cover.
Volume 2 has Reno on it.
Okay, then it's 3.
You know, I can just look it up.
Yeah, it's 3. I'm looking at it on the shelf right now because it's a yellow cover. Nice.
Nice. I just want to look at it. Jeez.
Oh my gosh. I'm like, shit, dude. Fuck. It's 3. God damn.
God, I just want to look at it. Fuck. And yeah, that's kind of where it ends. Hoshino's about to use 92% of his power to go fight number 10. Kikoru and the rest of the division right now are currently trying to take out all the wyvern. And yeah.
I wanted to read more, but in my head, I had to remember there is only 9 volumes out currently. The next one comes out in June. Do you want to really read all this right now and feel bad waiting? Or do you just want to wait it out and then binge it all when it's almost done? I think I'm going to be doing that latter option.
Oh, do whatever you want. I don't care.
Because it's really fucking good. I really enjoy it. I know there's a lot of people saying like, wow, Kaiju number 8 it's got really disappointing. It had a promising start. I don't know what that's about. Currently, I'm having a lot of fun with it. First 3 volumes were really, really good. Art style's really good. Characters are great. It's fun. It's really good.
Yeah. I haven't heard anything like that. I am not part of really the talk of Kaiju number 8, so I don't know. Probably now after talking about it and reading it, probably will be now. So far, these 26 chapters have been great. The art's great. Obviously, the first chapter is it starts out like an A shonen. So what can you do now? Not like and only 26 chapters in. I don't know if I want to wait or if I want to read it right now. I'm kind of divided on that because I really am really enjoying it. But the manga,
start collecting a physical, bah.
Physical's really nice, and I might do that. Yeah, nothing much to say. I say, so far, it's very promising. I want to keep up with it. And I think anybody else listen to this, you should too.
I agree, 100%.
If I were to give these first 3 volumes a rating, I'd give them all 4 out of 5.
Yeah, I'm sitting at like a 9 out of 10 on them.
Yeah. If I were to do a rating out of 10, I'd say a 9 out of 10 as well. Yeah,
because they just that good.
Yeah, it's like I said, if you want some awesome art, I really like Matsumoto's art style here. I love the kaiju designs. The comedy is like it's funny. It's good. And it's in a very endearing Kafka's a very endearing protagonist, and I mean he's memorable to me as well. You know, I'm invested in this guy. So I'm invested in too, and to see where he goes in his dream of standing with his childhood friends. So yeah, very good.
Also, just a fun fact about the covers, they have like a cool little shiny, like kind of like a Pokemon holographic effect on certain parts of it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's really cool. It's not as intense as a Pokemon card, but it's nice. It's nice enough to notice.
Okay, well that's cool. Any final thoughts?
Kaiju, awesome. I'm kind of hoping in the future that he actually grows huge, so it's like Ultraman in a way.
Yeah, that'd be pretty crazy. I have nothing more to say. I'm excited for to read more.
Oh yeah, and the anime is going to be 12 episodes, and I feel like it's probably going to cover a lot of the already out manga. Like I'm thinking maybe first 5 volumes.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I don't know. We'll have to see. I definitely 12 episodes. I mean, yeah, I definitely could cover a lot. Yeah, so definitely give it a read if you want to give it a read. Watch the anime if you want to. It's a pretty faithful adaptation so far. The first episode should mention, but
First 2 episodes from me.
Oh yeah, okay. But yeah, without any further ado, let's end this. Thank you for listening. You can find us on SoundCloud, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Overcast, Google, somewhere, anywhere, everywhere, maybe. Give us a rating, leave us a review, feedback, anything. Tell us what you think. Tell us if you want us to do more manga, more chapter reviews like this. We want to know. We appreciate it. We probably will do it regardless.
Yeah, I'm just gonna go ahead and say, Dandadan is coming out this fall. We're probably gonna do this again.
Wow, you're already making a choice for us?
Yeah, because I've been wanting to read it for a long time. I know you've read some of it.
You still haven't read Dandadan?
No.
I forget that. Fuck, Dandadan's good.
It's the same thing with Kaiju No. 8. I'm collecting the volumes. I have every single volume that's currently out in English.
I will say I started collecting the volumes before even reading it, and once I read it, it's awesome. So I understand. Well, all right, hell yeah. Follow us on Twitter at AYCH Podcast. Follow the Backlog Boys Pod. Follow Cajun Greatness. Follow the Instruction Booklet. Follow all those accounts. Tanner's not here, but go check out his Violent People stuff. Go check out all of the stuff under the AYCH umbrella. Everything. Go check it out. Everybody does good work, a lot of content. So please give it all a listen if you can. Follow us on Blue Sky, aychpodcast.bsky.social. Follow us on Instagram at AYCH Podcast. Follow us on twitch.tv/AllYouCanHear. Follow us on YouTube, AllYouCanHear, where we have VODs. Also, the Instruction Booklet also has their VODs up on YouTube, so go check that out. They do streams. Go check out their streams, by the way. And finally, you can follow me, Wenzel, on Twitter at WinzyWilkie. You can follow my art Instagram, Word of Winsy. You can follow also my threads in Blue Sky, World of Winsy as well. Follow my Bookstagram, Wenzel Banters, and my Linktree has links for everything, including my Goodreads and my Letterboxd.
Follow me on Twitter, ColtD00, or Blue Sky, ColtD99. I'm just trying to survive. Yeah, that's my little song for you. I'm doing the outro for Kaiju No. 8 now.
And I just want to be
I'm
somebody's
replacing it.
bride. I just want to be somebody's bride. Who would take me as their bride now that I've pissed out my ass?
Oh, I'm pissing again. I'm pissing.
Nice.